Chapter 58-56 Targeted President Gu pondered for a moment and looked at the 6 chancellors. This matter has been causing a ruckus for such a long time. It's time to stop. When you go back, knock on the door and stop targeting the 2 of them. Although the 6 chancellors were unwilling, they couldn't say anything since they had their own identities. They all nodded. President Gu then waved his hand at Yun Chujiu and Ding Wenru. You guys go back and settle the aftermath, especially the ceremony. Stop it immediately. Yun Chujiu obediently agreed and left President Gu's study. This guy left President Gu's courtyard and rolled his eyes. Why did she listen to President Gu's words and seem to care about the ceremony? Although the hosting ceremony was a little rash, it was not to the extent that President Gu would lose his sense of propriety. What was the reason for this? Ding Wenru saw that she was a little stunned and asked in puzzlement, Qingcheng, what's wrong? Yun Chujiu did not hide her doubts and explained her doubts. It's probably because the 10 Directions Academy has some taboo about such things. I think you're thinking too much. Can't you see that the 6 chancellors are all there? They must have complained about us. That's why the headmaster is so angry, said Ding Wenru. Yun Chujiu shook her head. No, there must be something wrong. Forget it. If you don't understand, then don't think about it. We'll talk about it when we get back. Ding Wenru said with a bitter smile, we still have to pick the sign and wipe the words. I can imagine that those people will be mocking us again. Yun Chujiu looked at her as if she was looking at an idiot. Who said that we have to pick it ourselves? Aren't there those handymen? Just hire them to pick it. Ding Wenru. With money, they could really do whatever they wanted. On the other side, the 6 chancellors came out from President Gu's courtyard and looked at each other. Although the president had already ordered that Yan Qingcheng had changed, but was it just going to let it go? In all these years, they had never been so sullen. They had been played by a student to such an extent. It was simply embarrassing. However, with their status, it was really not good to make things difficult for a student. Therefore, the 6 of them made a decision with tacit understanding. That was that no one had gone to beat up the students of their respective branches. Anyway, it was just a small matter. President Gu would not fall out with them because of this. In the next few days, wherever Yun Chujiu and Ding Wenru went, they would be ostracized by everyone. There were even people who threw away some dirty things at the entrance of the prehistoric branch. There were even people who poured dog blood on the door. The 6 chancellors had heard of this matter, but they pretended not to know anything and did not speak out to stop them. When everyone saw that Yun Chujiu and Ding Wenru had been swallowing their anger, they became even more arrogant. They were just 2 useless people who had no one to rely on. What could they do to them? Nan Gongshi had stood up for Ding Wenru a few times, but he made some of the girls target Ding Wenru even more. Nan Gongshi was quite annoyed when he saw this. In addition, Ding Wenru was still cold and indifferent to him, so he had no choice but to bite the bullet and look for Yun Chujiu. When Nan Gongshi arrived at the gate of the primal institution, he saw the dirty gate and the mess on the ground. He frowned and knocked on the gate. Ding Wenru opened the gate and saw that it was him. She simply nodded and didn't say anything. Nan Gongshi felt an indescribable feeling in his heart, but he didn't know where to begin. He could only say to Yun Chujiu, who was sitting on a stone chair and drinking tea, you still have the leisure to drink tea here. How badly has the gate of your prehistoric institution been ruined? Chapter 58-57, Flowers are about to bloom. Yun Chujiu put down her teacup and said with a smile, out of sight, out of mind. Once I close the door, I won't be able to see. Nan Gongshi was speechless. After sitting down, he said, these people are really too much. They actually use such underhanded methods to bully you. It's a pity that there are too many people involved. If the law doesn't punish the masses, it's not good to pursue the matter. Yun Chujiu curled the corners of her lips. If the law doesn't punish the masses? Hee, the law will punish the masses. It's just whether I want to or not. Nan Gongshi was stunned. What do you plan to do? Complained to President. The reason why Nan Gongshi asked this was very simple. The chancellors of the 6 branches had all been offended by this fellow in front of her. The only person she could find to rely on was President Gu. Yun Chuzhou shook her head. No matter what, don't rely on others. Only you can rely on yourself. Nan Gongshi was even more confused. What did she mean? Didn't you say that you would throw us into the 6 Harmonies waterside pavilion to train in a few days? At that time, I will deal with them one by one. I will let them know who they can offend and who they cannot offend, Yun Chuzhou said with a cold smile. Nan Gongshi wanted to say that there were so many people. How could the two of them deal with so many people? However, when he thought of the strange thing that Yun Chuzhou had done in the 100 Pits mountain range, he cleverly shut his mouth. He chatted with her for a while. When he saw that Ding Wenru had been ignoring him, he was somewhat annoyed. In the end, he left dejectedly. Yun Chuzhou covered her mouth and giggled. Sister Ding, recently, there are flowers in our courtyard that are about to bloom. Ding Wenru was at a loss. There are flowers about to bloom? Weren't the flowers and plants you planted previously destroyed by Jian Chenmu and the others? It's only been 2 days since they were planted, how could they bloom so quickly? Yun Chuzhou said meaningfully, this flower is not the same flower. It's already a flower bud and will bloom very soon. Ding Wenru was even more at a loss. Forget it, she didn't understand a lot of what Qingqing said anyway. She could have whatever flowers she wanted. She took out a piece of paper and handed it to Yun Chuzhou. Qingqing, these are the people who came to our door to cause trouble. Most of them are the lackeys of Jian Chenmu from the Talisman Division. Other than that, there are also some people from the Alchemy Division. This was understandable. After all, the students from the 4 divisions of the Beast Master Division didn't have any direct conflict with Yun Chuzhou, so they only mocked her and didn't do anything out of the ordinary. However, the Talisman Division and the Alchemy Division were different. Previously, Yun Chuzhou blew up their wall and even beat up people. In addition, Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Yanxiao fanned the flames, so they naturally would not let it go. Yun Chuzhou glanced at the name list. Remember their looks, and then well deal with them. Ding Wenru nodded. What she was best at now was blackmailing people. As the two of them were talking, footsteps came from outside the door, followed by a familiar voice, open the door. Yun Chuzhou immediately jumped up from her chair. Her pretty boy had finally returned. Yun Chuzhou opened the door and indeed saw a certain someone standing outside. The certain person's brows were tightly knitted. Obviously, he was puzzled when he saw the mess at the door. Ding Wenru tactfully said, I'll go to the door to cool down for you guys. You guys chat. Ding Wenru left the courtyard after saying that. She finally found a clean place to keep watch. What's going on at the door? A certain venerable had just returned from the trial and did not know what had happened. Yun Chuzhou told them everything that had happened in the Baihang mountain range and what had happened recently. When she saw the gaze of a certain venerable, she inexplicably felt a little guilty. Chapter 58. I'm so well-behaved. He Xinzhou quickly explained, I saw Ding Wenru being beaten up so badly, so I blew up the wall on impulse. When the wall blew up, I had no choice but to make a big deal out of it, which led to the current situation. Yun Chuzhou knew that Di Baiming wanted her to keep a low profile so as to avoid unnecessary trouble. But sometimes, it was not her who caused trouble, it was the trouble that provoked her. For example, that dead grasshopper and that Sha Mo were clearly the ones who provoked her. There was also Xiao Yanxiao, Director Xiaofu, and that Jian Zhuyu. They were all people that she had bumped into. She was also very helpless, okay? Thinking of this, Yun Chuzhou pouted and said, actually, this is all because of you. If it weren't for you attracting bees and butterflies everywhere, I wouldn't have been in so much trouble. Sigh, look at how well-behaved I am. I don't even have a single peach blossom. Unlike you, who provoked a bunch of white lotus flowers. A certain someone sneered, you're well-behaved. You don't have to worry. Do you believe it? Actually, a certain someone wanted to say that there wasn't even a single peach blossom. There was that idiot Shui Wuji in the front, that damned Lan Luochen in the back, and a mermaid who wasn't sure if she was dead or not. Yet, she still had the nerve to say that she didn't have any peach blossoms. Besides, although there were many white lotus flowers, they were no match for a little pervert like her. She could easily kill them. However, the ones she provoked were more and more difficult to deal with. Of course, a certain someone was just thinking in his heart. He would not say it even if he was beaten to death. Otherwise, where would he put his face? He Xinjiu laughed dryly. It was just a joke. Did you take it seriously? Well, let's get down to business. Where are we going to find the demon emperor that Sha Mo mentioned? It's not that I have nothing better to do. The main reason is that my parents and Wu Ji will have to deal with the demons sooner or later. If we find their demon emperor, we can use the demon emperor to command the demons. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Sha Mo. Hearing He Xinjia's words, Butt-Face, who was in the spiritual beast pouch, gloated at Sha Mo, who knew nothing at all. This old fool did not know that he had been set up by the little fairy. How pitiful. Di Baiming thought for a moment and said, when Shui Wuji's seal is further broken, or your parents' demonic nature awakens, perhaps we can get some clues about the demon emperor. Yun Chuzhou felt that what he said made sense. Besides, there was no rush in this matter. They could just take a long time to think about it. Di Baiming changed the topic. Give me the names of the people who were fooling around in Fro. I'll go and warn them. Yun Chuzhou shook her head, don't do that. It's not easy for me to find something fun. I can handle it myself. Besides, I don't care. You're different. You're a student of the spiritual power faculty. If I delay your participation in the 100-year competition, it won't be worth it. Di Baiming said seriously, Little Jiu, are you planning to leave the 10 Directions Academy after I get that thing? Is that why you deliberately caused such a big fuss? Di Baiming understood Yun Chuzhou. He knew that although she was temperamental, she was not someone who did not know her limits. For her to act so recklessly, it was obvious that she did not plan to stay in the academy for long. Yun Chuzhou said matter-of-factly, that's right. Since you have already left, why should I stay in this godforsaken place? That's not appropriate. Your cultivation is too low now. Staying in the academy is the best choice. Although your cultivation method is special, the 10 Directions Academy has a deep foundation. There will always be things you can learn. Furthermore, even if your identity is exposed in the future, the 10 Directions Academy will not hand you over to the Divine Devil Hall. I can only rest assured if you are not in danger. Di Baiming said seriously. Chapter 58-59, I have a backer now. Yun Chuzhou immediately pouted in dissatisfaction, of course not. I don't want to stay in this damn place. Wu JP's brain and the little madman's cultivation are not much stronger than mine. Why can they follow you and I can't? Di Baiming sighed, although that idiot Shui Wuji is a little stupid, with the release of the seal, he is no longer comparable to you now. And Feng may not be as strong as Shui Wuji, but he is still much stronger than you. Furthermore, I don't want to put you in danger, even if it's just a small risk. I can't protect you anytime, anywhere. I already owe you something, so I can't let you put yourself in danger again. Moreover, if you want to save your parents, you have to deal with the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace. The 10 Directions Academy has a relationship with the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace, so maybe you can find a suitable opportunity. In fact, Di Baiming had said so much because he did not want Yun Chuzhou to be in danger with him. Yun Chuzhou had already planned everything. After the 100-year competition, she would follow Di Baiming and kill everyone. Now that she was told to stay in the 10 Directional Academy, how could she not do it? Even if Di Baiming said all the right things, even if she knew that Di Baiming was doing it for her own good, this fellow still cried and made a scene. It was as though he was going to break someone's heart. Di Biming hugged Yun Chujia's hand tightly. Little Jiu, trust me, this will end very soon. We will be together for a long time very soon. Trust me. You are a heartbreaker who abandoned your wife and child. I don't believe you. Hei Shinjo said this, but she also kept her tears. A certain someone smiled bitterly. It was fine that he abandoned his wife, but why did he abandon his child? He didn't even get to eat the minced meat. Where did he get the son? A certain someone coaxed her again and took out the food that he had specially brought back for her during this experiential learning. This made Hei Shinjo smile from tears. Humph. If you want to stay here, then stay here. If you want me to follow you, then I don't want to follow you. There is food and fun here. It's much better than following you through life and death. Hei Shinjo said angrily. Hei Shinjo couldn't help but feel a little regretful when she said this. If she had known earlier that she would stay here, she wouldn't have been so evil. She really regretted it. Now that she had offended all the 6 chancellors, even President Gu wasn't as friendly to her as before. How would she live in the future? The more she thought about it, the worse she felt. Indeed, impulsiveness was the devil. As she thought about it, she couldn't help but think of President Gu's strange behavior. She said, "Oh right, I think there is something strange. When I was a demon, I found that President Gu was very concerned about my plan. What do you think is the reason?" Di Biming frowned and thought for a while. Then he said, "Now that you say it like that, I remember something. The reason why I was restrained in the 10 Directions Academy and didn't dare to be careless was mainly because I was afraid of the 2 Supreme Elders of the 10 Directions Academy. I also happen to know that there were 2 Supreme Elders of the 10 Directions Academy with profound cultivation. This matter was very secretive and few people knew about it. Thinking about the ritual that you mentioned, I have a guess that the 2 Supreme Elders were originally from the Primal Academy. That's why President Gu was so excited when he heard that you were going to hold a ceremony for the ancestors of the prehistoric branch. After all, those 2 are still alive and well." Yun Chujia's eyes were wide open. "Do you mean that I have a backer? One that is indestructible?" Chapter 5860, I am the ancestors. Order. Di Biming was already used to his wife's strange brain circuits. He immediately poured cold water on her. "I'm just guessing. Moreover, even if my guess is correct, those 2 might not be your backers. After all, the Primal Chaos branch hasn't recruited any students for so many years. I'm afraid that they already don't care about the matters of the Primal Chaos branch." What a certain someone was too embarrassed to say was, "Don't you know how you entered the primeval institution? It's because the 6 branches don't want you, so they put you in the primeval institution." Hei Shinjo was not bothered by it. Her eyelashes were about to burst with joy. "Io, other people have golden lives and fire lives, but PM the ancestor's life." A certain someone. "Look, I often accidentally became the little ancestor Yun, the ghost ancestor, and the monster ancestor. Now it seems that I am going to become the grand teacher of the children of the 10 Directions Academy again. What kind of life is this if not the ancestor's life?" Hei Shinjo said smugly. A certain elder was speechless and said helplessly, "Calm down first. Maybe I am wrong. Those 2 are not from the Primeval Academy. I don't care whether they are or not. Even if they are not, I'll think of a way to make them be. Anyway, PM definitely going to depend on these 2 big backers. PM definitely going to be the Grandmaster. Humph. Those 6 chancellors are all putting on airs. They've made me suffer a lot of cowardice. When the time comes, I'll make them kowtow obediently and call me Grandmaster. President Gu, no, little Gu Zi is still alright. I won't make things difficult for him then." Seeing that Hei Shinjo was already immersed in the beautiful dream that she had woven, a certain honored master could only laugh bitterly and sit by the side to listen to her blabbering. Hei Shinjo thought about it for a while and was so happy that she couldn't close her mouth. Di Biming then said indifferently, "I heard that those 2 are always in closed-door cultivation." PM afraid that you won't even be able to see them, let alone other things. Hei Shinjo blinked her eyes. This was indeed a problem. If she couldn't see them, those two old geezers didn't know that there were such outstanding students like her. Hei Shinjo immediately became dispirited. This backer didn't seem to be very reliable. This fellow's mood instantly took a turn for the worse. He wasn't in the mood to talk to Di Biming anymore, so he directly chased the miserable one out. After Ding Wenru entered, she saw Yun Chujia's distressed expression and asked curiously, "Qingcheng, what happened to you? Did Beiyu bully you?" "HMPitch, he dares." Hei Shinjo said angrily. "Then what's wrong with you? Are you worried that President Gu and the 6 chancellors will give us a hard time?" Hei Shinjo curled her lips. "They are just a bunch of disciples and grand disciples. How dare they give us a hard time? Unless they don't want to live anymore." Ding Wenru. What disciples and grand disciples? Was Qingcheng crazy? "Qingcheng, are you okay?" Ding Wenru looked worried. "I'm fine, PM fine. I just thought of the reason why President Gu is so disgusted with our organization." "What reason?" Ding Wenru asked curiously. "I guess there must be a living teacher in the prehistoric institution. That's why President Gu is so excited. Think about it. It's said that the prehistoric branch hasn't recruited students for 1,000 years. The living ones must be at least 1,000 years old, or even older. We are their own disciples, their seniority must be higher than President Gu and the others." Yun Chujo said proudly. Ding Wenru was stunned when she heard that. "Is your guess reliable? Is there really a living teacher in the prehistoric branch?" Chapter 5861 cried and begged me to be his disciple. Of course there is. Otherwise, why would President Gu be so anxious to stop us from doing anything? Moreover, if there wasn't anyone alive, why would the primal region still have such a courtyard and a plaque? Obviously, he was afraid that our master would come back to settle the score with them. Yun Chujo said with certainty. Ding Wenru was speechless. Let's not talk about whether there was a so-called master or not. Even if there was, it was not a master. This master was different from a lecturer. A master could only be accepted by another master. Based on their current cultivation level, they might be kicked out of the primeval institution, not to mention being accepted as disciples. Qingcheng, even if your guess is right, if there really is a master alive, he might not accept us as disciples. Besides, after saying so much, where is this so-called master? Humph. We have to accept him or not. However, PM also a little worried. How can we invite our master out? Hei Shinjo held her chin and mumbled. Since the headmaster is against us doing the ritual, he must know about our master. However, I wonder if he will tell us. Before Ding Wenru could finish her words, Hei Shinjo dashed out like a rabbit. "I'll go find the headmaster." Hei Shinjo ran all the way to the door of President Gu's courtyard and was stopped by the guards. "Tell President Gu that I have something important to report to him," Yun Chujo said mysteriously. Immediately, a guard came inside to report. President Gu had heard a little about Yun Chujo and Ding Wenru's recent situation and thought that she was here to complain. He said to the guard, "Tell her that I'm very busy and don't have time to see her." After hearing the guard's words, Yun Chujo blinked her eyes. "Please come again, brother guard. Tell her that an old man from our Primal Academy came and claimed to be the teacher of the Primal Academy." The guard had been in the 10 Directions Academy for a long time. He was dumbfounded after hearing Yun Chuji's words. The teacher of the Primal Academy? Hadn't the Primal Academy been empty for 800 years? However, he saw Yun Chuji's serious face and did not seem to be lying, so he went in to report. President Gu was drinking tea when he heard the guard's words. The teacup fell to the ground with a bang and he stood up abruptly. "What did you say?" The guard repeated Yun Chuji's words again. President Gu was shocked. Could it be that one of the people in the back mountain had come out of seclusion? He immediately walked out of the study. After thinking for a moment, he stopped and said, call Yan Qingqing in. He Xinjiu was immediately called in by the guard. Seeing the shocked expression on the guard's face, he was even more certain that he was his ancestor's fate. The guard was so shocked. It was obvious that President Gu's expression revealed something. It seemed that she was going to have a new master. He Xinjiu entered the study room and saw that although President Gu tried his best to hide it, the water stains on the ground showed everything. She bowed to President Gu respectfully. President Gu, it's been a long time since we last met. I miss you so much. I'm glad to meet you. President Gu was not in the mood to pay attention to her messy words. He asked, the guards said that someone from the prehistoric institution called himself a teacher. Yun Chujiu nodded with certainty. That's right. It was an old man who said that he was the teacher of the prehistoric institution. He cried and begged me to be his disciple. President, he must be crazy, right? Please quickly send someone to arrest him. Chapter 5862, I am very outstanding, nonsense. What are you trying to catch? It is a great fortune that he is willing to accept you as his disciple. President Gu slammed the table and roared angrily. He Xinjiu was immediately delighted. Io, looks like what the pretty boy said is true. Those two unworldly experts are indeed from the prehistoric branch. This fellow blinked his eyes. President, don't be so agitated. What I said just now was just that I had a dream. It was just that this dream was too real, so I came to you. President Gu. He was so angry that he almost cringed. He had seen naughty students before, but this was the first time he had seen such a capable student like this. Just a dream, and he came to him with such a bashful expression. It was absolutely detestable. Yan Qingqing. President Gu slammed the table hard. You are getting more and more outrageous. You actually tricked me. Men. Send Yan Qingqing to the discipline department and deal with her seriously. President, don't be agitated. Listen to my explanation first. I can't escape anyway. You can punish me however you want. Brother guard, go out first. After I have a private talk with the president, you can come and arrest me, He Xinjiu said with a smile. The guard naturally wouldn't listen to her. Instead, he looked at President Gu. President Gu suppressed the anger in his heart and waved his hand at the guard. After the guard went out, he said with a cold face, what do you have to explain? Yan Qingqing, on account of your previous meritorious service, I have been extremely lenient towards you. I didn't expect you to become more and more outrageous. You're really useless. President, I remember all the good you've done for me. I didn't mean to lie to you. I really had that dream. I probably had a dream every day. A few days ago, you vehemently objected to my way of doing things, so I thought, why are you so agitated? After thinking about it, I felt that there must be some teachers in our primal institution who are still alive and kicking. That's why you had such a big reaction. Am I right? President Gu's expression did not change, but he was very shocked in his heart. This Yan Qingqing was practically turning into a demon. The 6 chancellors did not notice the abnormality, but she guessed correctly. Seeing that President Gu did not speak, Yun Chujiu sighed, sigh. President Gu, I was forced into a corner. These few days, Ding Wenru and I have been living in the abyss of suffering. I suddenly grabbed onto this life-saving straw. Of course, I was ecstatic. If there were still living teachers in our primal institution, who would dare to bully us? President Gu, please be a good person and let me meet my master. I'm sure he will be very happy to see such an outstanding student like me. President Gu was speechless. Where did you get your confidence from? Master? Outstanding. If those two knew that the primal region had taken in such a good-for-nothing like you, they might send you flying with a slap. They might even implicate him in getting scolded. President Gu wanted to deny it, but on second thought, this Yan Qingqing had a stomach full of schemes. Now that she was certain of this matter, it was useless for him to deny it. He thought for a moment and said, "The two seniors have long stopped asking about the matters of the primal region. Don't expect too much. In addition, if the two of them know of your and Ding Wenris' existence, I'm afraid that you won't even be able to stay in the upper academy. After all, the criteria for the primal region to recruit students was very high in the past. So, you should give up on this idea and don't mention this to anyone else. Go back." Yun Chujio immediately straightened her back. "Dean, I don't like what you're saying. So what if my standards are high? I'm not bad either. I think PM very outstanding, and PM the only outstanding one." Chapter 5863 My luck is good. President Gu simply did not know where this fellow in front of him got his confidence from. Other than his broken mouth, what else was outstanding about him? President Gu thought that his self-restraint was relatively good, but at this moment, he could not help but sneer. "Yan Qingcheng, tell me, what are your outstanding qualities?" Yun Chujia's small face was full of pride. "Let's not talk about my peerless beauty that could topple a country, let's not talk about my earth-shattering talent. Just one thing, I am more outstanding than the others, not just a little bit." President Gus' mouth twitched violently. Peerless beauty? Peerless talent? Was this Yan Qingcheng blind? He asked with a hint of sarcasm. "Oh. Which point are you referring to?" "My luck is good. Look, I just casually went fishing and made a huge contribution. I just casually pursued him and got a cabbage like Northern Yu. I was casually sent to the Primeval Academy and casually won over everyone. Do you think my luck is heaven-defying? Am I very outstanding?" President Gu endured it and did not say what he was thinking. "The most outstanding thing about you was, how shameless. Yan Qingcheng, it's useless for you to say all this. Not only does the prehistoric branch require a higher cultivation level than the other branches, it also requires 2 more skills. It's precisely because the requirements are so high that it has been unable to recruit suitable students. You can go back now. If you continue to pester me, I will order someone to send you to the disciplinary department for punishment." Yun Chujio immediately clapped her hands. "Headmaster, after hearing what you said, I am indeed born to be my master's disciple. Although my cultivation is low now, my progress is fast. You see, I was previously at the 9th level of Spirit Extinguisher, but now I am already at the 1st level of Spirit Summoning. I can easily reach the 3rd or 4th level with a simple epiphany. Who can compare with such a cultivation speed? As for the 2 skills, I know how to craft talismans and refine pills. It's not that PM bragging, but as long as you give me some time, everyone in my blood torture talisman seal division and pill refining division will be able to advance." President Gu originally nodded when he heard Yun Chujia's first 2 sentences. After all, Yun Chujia's cultivation speed was truly astonishing. But when he heard the last 2 sentences, his nose nearly went crooked from anger. Blood torturing all the people from the talisman division and alchemy division? Why didn't you go to heaven? This Yan Qingcheng had merely listened to a few classes and already felt that she was stronger than the students from the alchemy division and talisman division. Where did? "President, if you don't believe me, I will carve a jade talisman for you right now and help you refine a batch of medicinal pills." President Gu interrupted her impatiently. All right, I don't have time to listen to your nonsense anymore. Since you have such confidence, I will give you a chance. During the 100-year grand competition, although the 2 seniors will not appear in public, they will still arrive at the venue of the grand competition. If you can obtain the qualifications to participate in the 100-year grand competition, I will let you meet the 2 of them at that time. If you are not even qualified to participate in the 100-year grand competition, don't mention this again in the future. President Gu did not intend to do so, but when he thought of Yun Chujia's stubborn character, he decided to let her give up. There were only 50 people qualified to participate in the 100-year grand competition, and the upper house was full of talented people. Even if Yan Qingcheng risked her life, she would not be able to rank in the top 50. She could also use this opportunity to see her own capabilities, so that she would not think that she was extraordinary. Chapter 5864 The Trial of the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion. President, how can I obtain the qualification to participate in the 100-year grand competition? Is it the trial of the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion that is about to begin? Yun Chujo asked curiously. President Gu did not conceal it. That's right. Only the top 50 of the trial of the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion can obtain the qualification to participate in the 100-year grand competition. If you want to meet those two seniors, you have to first obtain the top 50 first. Yun Chujo immediately said confidently, top 50? What's so difficult about that? Even the top 5 are effortless. President Gu was so angry that he was amused. This Yan Qingqing simply did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. He would just have to wait and see. Before leaving, He Xinjiu took out a small paper bag. President, I have some tea leaves here. The taste is not bad. You can keep them and drink. Before President Gu could say anything, He Xinjiu jumped away. President Gu opened the paper bag carelessly, but he was stunned. The tea leaves in the paper bag were green and fragrant. It was the most high-end tea in the divine enlightenment continent Jasper Sprouts. This small paper bag was worth millions of spirit stones, and even if one had spirit stones, they might not be able to buy it. President Gu's mood was a little complicated. If Yun Chujo had given him something else, he wouldn't have been interested. However, he liked to drink tea, and this gift really hit the nail on the head. However, where did this Yan Qingqing get the Jasper Sprouts? He Xinjiu naturally got them from Vice President Xiao. Now that Vice President Xiao had been possessed by the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor bug, his things were He Xinjius. This fellow had indeed plundered a lot of good things. Although this fellow was stingy, she would still spend the money she needed. Recently, she had offended President Gu many times, so it was time to give her some benefits. Yun Chujo met many students on her way back to the primeval subdivision. Although no one went up to provoke her, it was inevitable that they would point at her and mock her. He Xinjiu sneered in her heart. Little rascals, just wait for your little ninth ancestor. I'll deal with you all after I take in my master. This fellow returned to the primeval institution and told Ding Wenru what had happened. Ding Wenru was instantly dumbfounded. Qingqing, what did you say? The top 50 of the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion? Not to mention the top 50, we might not even be able to enter the top 500? Everything depends on man. Don't worry, leave everything to me. Yun Chujo said confidently. Ding Wenru immediately shut her mouth and did not say anything. She just needed to hug Qingcheng's thigh. Soon, it was the day of the trial of the Six Directions Waterside Pavilion. All the students of the upper house had to participate in the trial of the Six Directions Waterside Pavilion. Many of them felt uneasy. The reason was very simple. The Six Directions Waterside Pavilion was extremely dangerous. The demon beasts in the dome were captured from the Six Directions Waterside Pavilion. The ferocious aura on their bodies was simply terrifying. Fortunately, each of them carried a jade token with them. As long as they crushed the jade token, they could be teleported out in advance. At least, they would not lose their lives. Before entering the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion, the students lined up according to their respective branches. Yun Chujo and Ding Wenru became particularly eye-catching. Jian Chenma's eyes revealed a murderous look. These two bastards had beaten him up quite badly last time, but they did not receive any punishment in the end. This time, they had better pray that they did not meet him in the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion. Otherwise, they would die without a burial place. Jian Zhuyu was smiling and speaking happily, but the corner of her eyes also fell on Yun Chujo. Her eyes flashed. The Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion was different from other waterside pavilions, and there was no corresponding real-time transmission of the Shadow Stone. Yan Qingqing, you are going to be unlucky. Chapter 5865 Yinyang Liken Xiao Yanxiao looked pleased with herself. Yesterday, she went to see Director Xiaofu, and Director Xiaofu clearly told her that he had tampered with Yan Qingcheng's teleportation jade token, so she could rest assured. When she thought about how she was finally going to get rid of Yan Qingcheng, this big trouble, Xiao Lianxiao could not hide the joy in her heart. As for that hypocritical Jian Zhuyu, she would find another opportunity to deal with her in the future. While everyone was thinking about it, President Gu explained the rules and precautions of the trial. There was a special herb growing on the Six Harmonies waterside pavilion called Yinyang lichen. This lichen was very special. Half of it was black, and the other half was white. It lived under the surface of the ground all year round and was very difficult to find. The students' results were ranked by the number of Yinyang lichens found, and the top 50 were qualified to participate in the 100-year grand competition. Then, President Gu announced the beginning of the trial. A white light flashed in front of the students' eyes, and they were all teleported into the Six Harmonies waterside pavilion. Since the teleportation location was random, everyone's landing point was different. When He Xinjiu regained her sight, she found that she was surrounded by tall trees, and it was dead silent. When she was looking around, she suddenly felt very hungry. This fellow could not help but curse, "You damned Dehua. All you do is eat and eat all day long. How many spirit stones have I fed you? How can you still be hungry? You good for nothing." Although this fellow cursed, it still released its red claws. After all, only by feeding it could she effectively alleviate this hunger. After the red claw swallowed the spiritual stones that Yun Chujiu threw to it, it suddenly flew forward. He Xinjiu was furious. This damn claw! Did it want to fly freely? You 1,000-year-old single claw, stop right there! He Xinjiu shouted in exasperation as she chased after it. The red claw turned a deaf ear and kept flying forward. Soon, He Xinjiu was left behind. The main reason was that the red claw could move freely in the forest. He Xinjiu had to avoid tree branches and other things. She also had to be careful not to be ambushed by other demonic beasts, so her speed was naturally much slower. Although the red claw flew fast, it still dissipated due to the exhaustion of spiritual energy. The Gowei Batsao in He Xinjius Dantian shook its leaves. TSK, this idiot didn't have the ability to hide a small treasury and still wanted to learn from it. He really overestimated himself. He Xinjiu was really angry. This dead claw was even worse than Dehua's. Just as she was thinking about it, a feeling of hunger came from her stomach again. Yun Chujiu couldn't help but sneer. It seemed that this dead claw was intentional. It just wanted to come out. She wanted to see what it wanted to do. Hence, Yun Chujiu released the red claw again. Once the red claw was released, it flew forward again. Yun Chujiu was not in a hurry this time. She followed behind the red claw unhurriedly. Since her spiritual power was exhausted, the red claw also dissipated. After walking for a while, He Xinjiu found a tree covered in vines with small red wild fruits on it. This guy immediately stopped and began to pick wild fruits to eat. Needless to say, these wild fruits were sour and sweet, and tasted pretty good. The red claw suddenly realized that Yun Chujiu did not catch up, so it could only fly back and hook its toes at Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu said while stuffing wild fruits into her mouth, "Go away. I don't have time to play with you." The red claw hooked its toes again, but when it saw that Yun Chujiu still did not respond, it rushed toward Yun Chujiu in anger. Chapter 5866, The Red Claw showed its power. Yun Chujiu had expected this. She dodged the attack of the red claw nimbly and sneered, "You damn claw. You still want to hit me? Be careful, or PLL complain to the Prince Charming. I'll kill you." The red claw shivered and immediately became as quiet as a chicken. He Xinjiu could not help but feel jealous. These damn dumb cuties were all snobbish. She was their master, and she was so awesome. Why were they more afraid of the gigolo? Could it really be because of her temperament? Seeing that the red claw was not moving anymore, Yun Chujiu continued to pick wild fruits to eat. After a while, the red claw flew around He Xinjiu in annoyance. At first, He Xinjiu ignored it. Later, seeing that it was so annoyed that it wanted to hit a tree, she curled her lips. Do you want to take me somewhere? The red claw nodded excitedly. Yun Chujiu rolled her eyes, thinking that there was no harm in going to take a look. She wanted to see what the damned claw was up to. At that moment, she heard someone walking and talking in the distance. Yun Chujiu frowned and dispersed the red claw. Then, she jumped onto a big tree next to her and used the lush leaves to hide herself. Fuck, I'm so unlucky. How did I get teleported into this dense forest? I heard that the yin-yang lichen doesn't usually appear in the forest. Aren't we wasting our time here? Yeah, it's a good thing that we met. If I were alone, I would be even more uncertain. The two men who spoke were dressed in Talisman Script Academy uniforms. Yun Chujiu really knew them. These two were Jian Chenmu's lackeys. One of them took out a map and said, Jian Chenmu told us to gather by the stream after we enter. Let's hurry over. This time, Yan Qingcheng and Ding Wenru will be in big trouble. There's no array to transmit images in this 6 directions waterside pavilion, so there's no need to have any scruples. Unless they're lucky and can't meet us. Otherwise, according to Jian Chenmu's character, hell definitely kill them. The other person said. That's their own fault. Wasn't that Yan Qingcheng very cocky before? Why hasn't she said anything recently? Why doesn't she think about it? There are only the two of them in the primal institution, what right does she have to fight with us? Yes. That's right, she's still boasting shamelessly that she wants her territory back. In your dreams. This time, go to hell and get it. Ha ha ha. Yun Chujiu heard the conversation between the two clearly, and the corner of her mouth revealed a cold smile. She secretly took out a large bag of chili noodles from her storage ring and threw it at the two people below. The two people were talking happily when they suddenly felt the sound of wind coming from above. They subconsciously dodged to the side, and the big bag of chili noodles immediately fell to the ground, instantly flying in all directions. Achoo! Achoo! What the hell is this thing? Ah, my eyes, ah, it hurts so much. While the two people were crying and howling, Yun Chujiu jumped down from the tree, released her red claws, and said with her spiritual sense, if you want me to go with you, then take care of these two trash. Yun Chujiu felt that De Hua had been so brave before. There was no reason for the red claws to be so useless. They must be faking it. Sure enough, after hearing Yun Chujiu's words, the red claws suddenly became several times bigger and lashed out viciously at one of the people. That person was immediately sent flying by the red claws and crashed into a towering tree in the distance. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. The other man sneezed and retreated in fear. However, he was not as fast as the red claw. He was immediately pinned to the ground by the red claw. Chapter 58-67 Subjugation. He Xinjiu widened her eyes. My goodness. I didn't expect that the dead claw would be so powerful after it went crazy. This guy restrained the spiritual power of the two people and then took out a small dagger. He cut the neck of the person who was still conscious, and blood gushed out immediately. The person was so scared that his face turned pale. Yan Qingcheng, you. Don't mess around. If you kill me, you won't be able to recover either. Yun Chujiu chuckled. TSK, didn't you say just now? There's no array to transmit images in this 6 directions water pavilion. Even if I kill you, who would know? When the time comes, it'll destroy your corpse and wipe out all traces. Everyone will treat it as if you were eaten by a demonic beast. The man's face turned even paler as he pleaded, Yan Qingcheng, every injustice has its head and every debt has its owner. Back then, it was Jian Chenmu who instigated the tearing down of the wall and beating people up. It has nothing to do with me. He was extremely envious of his companion who had fainted. If he had known this would happen, he would have just crashed into a tree. I will naturally take care of Jian Qinmu, but I will not let go of a lackey like you. You have a share in throwing dog blood on the door of our primal institution, right? Throwing dirty things at the entrance of our primal institution did not go unnoticed by you, right? Tell me, if I don't kill you, do you think I will let you live for the new year? As Yun Chuzhou spoke, she held a dagger and gestured back and forth on his face. The man trembled in fear. I was wrong, I was wrong. Please spare me this time. I will do whatever you want me to do. The corners of Yun Chuzhou's lips curled up. You will do whatever I want you to do. Okay, swallow this pill. Before the man could resist, Yun Chuzhou stuffed the pill into his mouth. The other man who had just woken up was also fed a pill. Immediately, a shrill scream was heard in the dense forest. The two people rolled on the ground in pain and begged for mercy. Yun Chuzhou took out a spirit fruit and looked at the miserable state of the two people with a smile as she chewed on it. It was not until the two people were about to faint from the pain that Yun Chuzhou said, "From now on, you will follow me. Do you have any objections?" The two of them did not dare to have any objections. They nodded their heads like garlic. As long as they were not in so much pain, they would do anything. Yun Chuzhou then fed the two of them the antidote and said, "I don't trust you yet, so you give me the jade token for your escape as collateral." The two of them had no other choice but to nod their heads in agreement. The two of them looked at Yun Chuzhou anxiously, not knowing what she wanted them to do next. Go and find Jian Ch. The two of them looked at each other, and one of them asked carefully, "Then, when will you return the jade token to us? After all, this 6 Harmonies waterside pavilion is too dangerous. If we don't have the jade token, we won't know for sure." Yun Chuzhou laughed lightly. It's very simple. When you work together to help me kill Jian Qinmu, I will return the jade token to you. The two of them felt their legs go weak and almost collapsed to the ground. This Yan Qingqing was really too despicable. In this way, wouldn't they be on the same boat as her? But, what could they do? If they didn't have the escaped jade token, they would be no different from waiting for death on this 6 Harmonies waterside pavilion. The two of them could only nod and agree bitterly. They walked in front while Yun Chuzhou followed behind them at a distance. After taking a few steps, Yun Chuzhou remembered about the red claw. She used her spiritual sense to comfort the red claw. I'll go and take care of Jian Qinmu first. Then, I'll follow you to where you want to go. She did not know whether the red claw suddenly understood or not, but after Yun Chuzhou finished speaking, the red claw did not show any abnormalities and soon disappeared. Chapter 58-68. They did not want to die, yet Yun Chuzhou played with the 2 jade tokens that she had just collected. Their names were carved on them, Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang. Although such a fence-sitter was not good, they had one advantage, which was that they were easy to control. She could command them with both kindness and power. Since she wanted to stay in the 10 Directions Academy for a long time, she had to train some lackeys. TSK, these two were really lucky to be the first batch of subordinates of her little 9th patriarch. If Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang knew what this fellow was thinking, they would probably be so angry that they would vomit blood. They didn't want such luck, okay? They were not too far from the edge of the forest at the moment. 4 hours later, Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang successfully walked out of the dense forest according to the map in their hands. They turned around and looked at He Xinjiu, who waved at them with a smile. They felt that the smiling He Xinjiu was no different from a demon, so they gritted their teeth and continued walking forward. Soon, the two of them arrived at the stream where they were supposed to meet, and they saw Jian Qinmu pacing back and forth anxiously from afar. Jian Qinmu saw them and cursed, "You guys are finally here. Damn it, I wonder where the others have been teleported to." Not a single person came. Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang smiled apologetically and said a few words. Jian Qinmu then said, "Let's wait another day. If no one comes, we won't wait anymore. I can't wait to kill Yan Qingcheng and Ding Wenru right now. Especially Yan Qingcheng. If it wasn't for her, Ding Wenru wouldn't have the guts to go against me. When I meet her, I'll definitely kill her. However, before I kill her, I have to play with her first. After all, she's the woman of the Northern Army. The thought of being able to play with the women of the Northern Army makes me extremely excited. Ha ha ha. Seeing Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang's stiff expressions, he added, don't worry. After I'm done playing with her, I'll reward you guys with some fun. Although that damned girl's figure is shriveled, her skin is tender and tender. It'll be a different kind of experience. Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang almost collapsed to the ground, laughing happily. Forget it. They didn't want to die yet. At this moment, Yun Chuzhou slowly walked over from afar. Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang rejoiced in their hearts. Fortunately, they were far enough away. This demon shouldn't have heard Jian Chenma's previous words. Otherwise, he might have vented his anger on them. However, Jian Chenmu was extremely excited. This bitch Yan Qingqing actually took the initiative to deliver herself to their doorstep. She was really courting death. Be alert later. No matter what, we can't let her escape today, do you understand? Jian Chenmu instructed Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang in a low voice. The two of them nodded and thought in their hearts, we can't let her escape. The one who can't escape is you. At this moment, Yun Chuzhou had already walked in front of the three of them. Jian Chenmu grinned hideously and said, Yan Qingqing, you sure are brave. You actually didn't run when you saw us. However, it's useless even if you run. A trash like you won't be able to escape from us at all. Yun Chuzhou showed a terrified expression, you. What do you want to do? The corners of Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang's mouths twitched violently. They finally knew what a drama queen was. Not long ago, she was threatening them fiercely, but now she turned into a little white rabbit. She was really shameless. However, Jian Chenmu was extremely pleased with himself. He said with malicious intentions, Yan Qingqing, if you want to live, you have to be more sensible. Although your figure is not that good and your looks are average, if you serve the three of us well, I might spare your little life. Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang stood behind Jian Chenmu and shook their heads and waved their hands at He Xinjiu, expressing their innocence. They didn't want to be punished by the little devil again. Chapter 58-69, Demon. When Yun Chuzhou heard Jian Chenma's words, a murderous intent flashed across her eyes, but it disappeared in an instant. She said with a trembling voice, at worst, I will crush the jade token and give up on the assessment. What else can you do to me? Jian Chenmu laughed even more savagely when he heard that. He took out an array disc made of jade talismans and said, see. This is a spirit-locking array disc. Your jade token won't work within 1,000 feet. Yun Chuzhi's eyes immediately lit up. This thing was not bad. It was simply a sharp weapon that could kill people and steal their treasures. She gave Liang Hong and Yin Zhang a look. Tiang Hong reacted faster and immediately understood what she meant. He said to Jian Chenmu, Chenmu, you have to deal with her personally to vent your anger. I'll help you hold this spirit-locking formation disc so that it won't get in the way later. Jian Chenmu did not suspect him and immediately handed the spirit-locking formation disc to Jiang Hong. Yun Chuzhou immediately put away her pitiful look and slapped Jian Chenmu. You bitch, you actually dare to make a move. You're really courting death. Jian Chenmu dodged Yun Chuzhi's palm wind and was about to release his spiritual beast when a gust of cold wind came from behind him. Although he tried his best to dodge, his back was still hit by the palm. He turned his head in disbelief and saw that it was Yin Zhang who attacked. Yin Zhang, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Jian Chenmu was both angry and shocked as he shouted. Yin Zhang did not reply. He released his spirit beast and attacked Jian Chenmu again. At the same time, Yun Chuzhou took the spirit-locking disc from Jiang Hong's hand and pouted. Let's attack together and end this quickly. Jian Chenmu could not believe what he was seeing. Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang were clearly his people. Why would they help Yan Qingqing kill him? Do you too want to die? If cousin Zhuyu finds out that you killed me, she will not let you off. Our Jian family will not let you off either. Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang hesitated. The Jian family was powerful. If they really killed Jian Qinmu, wouldn't they be in trouble? Yun Chuzhou chuckled, if you don't kill him, there will be endless trouble. According to his personality, will he let you off? Don't worry, there is no array to transmit the images here. No one will know that you killed him. Just treat it as if he was eaten by a demonic beast. Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang gritted their teeth. Yan Qingqing was right. They would not rest until they were done. Since they had already fallen out, killing Jian Qinmu was the best choice. Therefore, the two of them intensified their attacks on Jian Qinmu. Jian Qinmu's cultivation was one level higher than Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang. In addition, he had a lot of spiritual art. For a time, Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang really could not kill him. If it were not for the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion prohibiting the use of talismans, the two of them would not have been Jian Qinmu's match. Yun Chuzhou had been watching the show from the side. Seeing this, she had no choice but to release her red claws. This guy used the same trick again. He coaxed the red claws to unleash their power again and pressed Jian Qinmu to the ground with one claw. Yun Chuzhou directly released a fireball with small flames, burning Jian Qinmu into ashes. Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang were so frightened that their faces turned ashen. They had a trace of doubt before, thinking that Yan Qingqing was just scaring them, and that she might not really dare to kill them. But now, they no longer had a trace of luck. This Yan Qingqing was simply a demon who killed without batting an eye. She had actually burned Jian Qinmu to death. Yun Chuzhou picked up Jian Qinmu's storage ring from the ashes and put it into her own storage ring naturally. Chapter 58-70 Ding Wenru went to the Red Valley. Yun Chuzhou was about to say something when she saw the red claws fly forward. She rolled her eyes and said to Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang, you two go find Ding Wenru and be responsible for protecting her. Also, if you find the yin yang lichen, it will all belong to her. Do you have any objections? Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang didn't dare to say they had any objections and hurriedly nodded. Only then did Yun Chuzhou return their jade tokens to them and send them away. Since they had already killed Jian Qinmu, there was no way out. They weren't afraid that they would betray them. After Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang left, Yun Chuzhou chased after them in the direction where the red claws had left. They had been walking for several hours. Hei Xinjiu wondered as she walked. Didn't they say that there were many ferocious demonic beasts in the Six Directions Water Pavilion? Why didn't she meet any of them along the way? Was it because she was too lucky, or were all the demonic beasts dead? Seeing that the red claws had no intention of stopping, the creature said impatiently, Hey, De Hua, where are you taking me? I still need to find the yin yang lichen. The red claws could not speak, so it naturally could not answer her. It only conveyed an anxious emotion. Yun Chuzhou had no choice but to continue following it. In the end, this thing was very protective. Although she despised and cursed the red claw, she felt that there must be a reason for the red claw to do so, so she patiently followed it. As they walked, the sky turned dark. Yun Chuzhou was afraid of encountering any danger, so she found a place to rest. The red claw turned a few times anxiously, but it did not do anything again. The next morning, Hei Xinjiu continued to follow the red claw. After walking for a short while, she met Jian Zhuyu and his group. Jian Zhuyu was followed by more than a dozen people, and it was obvious that she was the leader. Jian Zhuyu saw Yun Chuzhou, and his eyes flashed. He smiled and said, Yan Qingqing, this Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion is very dangerous. Why don't you come with us? We can take care of each other. Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. Thank you for your kindness, but I still feel more at ease by myself. The people behind Jian Zhuyu immediately mocked her. Yan Qingqing, don't be so shameless. Since Zhuyu is willing to bring you along, you should be burning incense. How dare you reject her? TCH. I think she's sick. If she doesn't want to follow us, then forget it. It's better if she's eaten by a demonic beast. Aya, I think she wants to look for Bei-yu. TSK, don't you think that the size of the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion is astonishing? Where can she find Bei-yu? Jian Zhuyu did not show any signs of dissatisfaction. She Kanton. Oh right, I forgot to tell you. I saw Ding Wenru heading towards the Red Valley in the south. You can go look for her. Yun Chujiu took a deep look at Jian Zhuyu. Jian Zhuyu felt a little uncomfortable looking at her before she retracted her gaze. Then thank you for telling me. Goodbye. Jian Zhuyu looked at Yun Chujiu's back and revealed a cold smile. This Yan Qingsheng had the best relationship with Ding Wenru. She would definitely go to the Red Valley to look for her without thinking. At that time, she would definitely die. There were many high-level demon beasts gathered in the Red Valley, and they were all very fierce. The demon beasts in the Beast Master Scope's dome were captured from the Red Valley. The reason why she was not afraid of Yun Chujiu crushing the jade plate to escape was because she met Xiao Yanxiao on the way. From her words, she could tell that there was something wrong with Yun Chujiu's escaped jade plate. Chapter 5871 Red Valley. Yun Chujiu was not a fool. She naturally knew that Jian Zhuyu was up to no good. Ding Wenru was not a fool. She clearly knew that the Red Valley was very dangerous, so how could she possibly go there? Therefore, Yun Chujiu planned to ignore it. Who would have thought that as she walked, she would discover that the direction the Red Claws told her to go was the Red Valley. Yun Chujiu immediately stopped walking. De Hua, you're not going to send me to my death in the Red Valley, are you? I still need to find the Yin-Yang Lichen to qualify for the grand competition. I don't have the time to play with you and those demonic beasts. The Red Claw naturally wouldn't give up. It flew around her anxiously. If Yun Chujiu hadn't threatened it before, it would probably have slapped her away with one claw. Just as she was in a stalemate with the Red Claw, Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang caught up, panting. Yun Chujiu said in confusion, "Didn't I tell you to look for Ding Wenru? Why are you back?" Yin Zhang panted and said, "Student Yan, we were going to look for Ding Wenru, but we heard that she was heading towards the direction of the Red Valley, so we chased after her." Yun Chujiu was stunned. Who did you hear it from? It couldn't be Jian Zhuyu and the others, right? Yin Zhang shook his head. We didn't hear it from them. We met a few people from the refining department and heard it from them. Yun Chujiu frowned. The people from the refining department said that? The people from the refining department didn't have to lie to Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang. Besides, others didn't know that they were their own people. Ding Wenru had always tried to avoid danger. Why did she lose her mind and go to the Red Valley this time? Could it be that there was another reason? She gritted her teeth. Anyway, this damned Claw also wanted her to go to the Red Valley, so she would go and take a look. Let's go. You guys follow me to the Red Valley to take a look, Yun Chujiu said to Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang. Although the two of them didn't want to go, they thought about it. At worst, they could just crush the jade token and go out. It wasn't a big deal. Thus, the three of them headed towards the Red Valley together. Since Yun Chujiu already knew the destination, the Red Claw didn't make any more trouble and came out to lead the way. Student Yan, I have to say that your luck is really good. Ever since we left you, we have encountered quite a few groups of demonic beasts. Why can't we encounter any of them after following you? Jiang Hong said in a somewhat fawning manner. Hearing this, Yun Chujiu became more and more suspicious. Yes, why didn't she encounter any demon beasts? It was really strange. At sunset, the three of them arrived at the entrance of the reason why the Red Valley was named was because the soil and rocks here were bright red, as if they were stained with blood. Yun Chujiu didn't know why, but a trace of grief and indignation appeared in her heart. She frowned. This emotion didn't belong to her. Could it be a red claw? What did it want her to do here? And why did Ding Wenru come here? Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang's faces were full of anxiety. They held the escape jade token tightly in their hands. As long as something was wrong, the two of them would crush the jade token to escape. Student Yen, it's getting late now. It's too dangerous if we enter rashly. Why don't we wait until tomorrow morning to go in? Yeah, maybe Ding Wenru has already crushed her jade token and left. We don't have to take the risk. At this moment, a cry for help came from the valley. Yun Chujio immediately jumped into the valley because the cry was Ding Wenru's voice. Chapter 5872. Could it be that they were afraid of the red claws? Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang looked at each other when they saw Yun Chujio leap into the valley. Were they going to follow her or not? If they didn't follow her, the little devil would definitely teach them a lesson. However, what if they were in danger if they followed her? Jiang Hong gritted his teeth. If the situation isn't right, well, crush the jade token. She can't blame us. Yin Zhang felt that what he said made sense and immediately nodded in agreement. The two of them also rushed into the valley. The two of them tried their best to catch up, but the distance between them and Yun Chujio kept increasing. When the two of them saw Yun Chujio's ghostly figure in front of them, they couldn't help but feel puzzled. Yan Qingcheng's cultivation was lower than theirs, so why was her movement so fast? At this moment, Yun Chujio stopped in front of them, and the two of them finally caught up. The two of them followed Yun Chujio's gaze and saw two people sitting on the ground. They knew each other. One of them was the Devi PS follower, Ding Wenru, and the other was Nangong Shi from the weapon refining branch. Both of their bodies were covered in blood. It was obvious that their injuries were not light. Ding Wenru looked at Yun Chujio and said with great effort, "Qingcheng, you're here." Nangong Shi didn't have the strength to speak anymore. He was gasping for breath. There were bloodstains on the ground and the corpses of two demon beasts. Jiang Hong cried out in surprise, "These are red-eyed raging bears of the 5th level of the Moon Seal. You actually killed two of them. How did you do it?" The 5th level of the Moon Seal was equivalent to the 5th level of the Divine Summoning Realm for human cultivators. Although Nangong Shi was at the 5th level of the Divine Summoning Realm, Ding Wenru was only at the 8th level of the Divine Summoning Realm. It was quite difficult for the two of them to kill two red-eyed raging bears of the 5th level of the Moon Seal. Moreover, they had vaguely seen the shadows of a few demon beasts that had fled in a hurry. This meant that these two demon beasts were not the only ones that had surrounded them previously. Why did those demon beasts escape? Logically speaking, those demon beasts should be more excited. After all, the cultivation levels of the three of them were not as high as Nangong Shigeo's. Yun Chujio had also thought of this. Why did those demon beasts flee like the wind? She suddenly remembered the abnormal reaction of those demonic beasts in the dome. At that time, she thought that she wanted to eat meat and scared those demonic beasts. However, it didn't seem like that was the case now. However, it was better to leave the Red Valley first. Who knew? Therefore, she asked Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang to help her help Nangong Shi and Ding Wenru to leave the valley. However, she didn't expect the Red Claw to express its protest. Yun Chujio frowned and asked with her spiritual sense, "You want me to stay here? Aren't you afraid that I will be eaten by the demon beasts?" Although Yun Chujio didn't understand what the Red Claw wanted to say, it clearly wanted her to stay in the valley and continue to move forward. Yun Chujio suddenly had a guess. Could it be that the demon beasts were afraid of the Red Claw? That's right. Ever since she entered the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion, she hadn't encountered a single demon beast. It must be because they were afraid of the Red Claw and ran away without a trace. Then the question came. Why were the demon beasts afraid of the Red Claw? She thought again. It seemed that only the demon beasts in the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion were afraid of the Red Claw. Could it be that De Hua had some relationship with the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion? Thinking of this, She asked the red claws with her spiritual sense, "Are all the beasts here afraid of you?" The red claw's smug mood was immediately transmitted through her spiritual sense. Yun Chujo pursed her lips in her heart. Then, she said to Ding Wenru and the others, "You guys go out of the valley first. I'll stay here for a while." Chapter 5873, Tao Tai. Ding Wenru had already recovered some of her strength after taking the pill. She said, "Qingcheng, you can't stay here. This red valley is quite strange. The escape jade token won't work here. It'll be bad if those demon beasts come back again." Nangongshi echoed, "Yes, the demon beasts here are very fierce. It's night now. You can't stay here. It's too risky." Hearing that, Yun Chujo glanced at them. "Oh right, I haven't had the chance to ask you guys why you're here. Don't you know that this red valley is very dangerous?" Ding Wenru's expression was a little unnatural. Nangongshi coughed dryly and said, "It's nothing. It's just that this red valley produces a kind of crimson bead bloodstone, which is a good material for refining artifacts. That's why we came to look for the crimson bead bloodstone." Initially, everything was going very smoothly. Who would have thought that we would suddenly encounter several demonic beasts? We originally wanted to crush the escape jade token and get out. Who would have thought that it would be useless? That's why we let out a cry for help. Yun Chujo glanced at the two of them. She knew that the matter would definitely not be so simple, but she did not ask any further. It was not too late to ask after the trial ended. "I see. I have something to do. You guys go out and wait. I will be fine," Yun Chujo said without any objections. Ding Wenru and Nangongshi saw that she was insistent, so they could only give her a few instructions. They were supported by Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang as they walked out of the valley. Yun Chujo walked towards the depths of the Red Valley. She had only walked for a short while when she heard a familiar voice behind her, "Wait a moment." Yun Chujo turned her head and saw Di Baiming coming from afar. The moonlight shone on his body and he was shrouded in a holy halo. The first thought that popped up in He Xinjia's mind was, why did the pretty boy always bring a halo with him every time he appeared? Why did she always appear in such a sorry state? Why are you here? He Xinjia asked sourly. A certain someone really didn't know what was wrong with his wife's sour tone. He said truthfully, "I overheard the conversation of the people from the Talisman Seal Division. I figured that you would come to the Red Valley, so I rushed here." Yun Chujo curled her lips. "It's Jian Ziyu's lackeys, right? They can't wait for me to die here. Humph. Those coquettish bitches would never know that my little ninth patriarch has De Hua in his hands. He can pass through the Six Harmonies waterside pavilion unimpeded." Di Baiming did not show too much surprise. He asked, "The reason why you rushed to the depths of the valley was also because of that idiot De Hua? Did you know about this long ago?" Di Baiming tidied her hair, which had been messed up by the wind, and then said, "Since I know about the two Grand Elders, I naturally know some other secrets of the 10 Directions Academy. The 6 Directions Waterside Pavilion was the core of the array that imprisoned the Tao Tai. The demonic beasts on the 6 Directions Waterside Pavilion were stained with the fierce aura of the Tao Tai. Therefore, they were especially fierce. And because they were stained with the fierce aura of the Tao Tai, they were afraid of De Hua. After all, De Hua's real body is the Tao Tai." He Xinjiu suddenly understood when she heard Di Baiming's words. So that was the reason. No wonder she summoned the Red Claw when she arrived at the Academy of 10 Directions. It turned out that De Hua's real body was imprisoned here. He Xinjiu glared at Di Baiming and said snappily, "Why did you tell me this when you already knew about it?" Chapter 5874, Watching People Cook. "I'm afraid that you won't be able to keep your cool and act rashly after you know about it, which will bring unnecessary trouble," Di Baiming said indifferently. He Xinjiu said unwillingly, "You say it as if I'm a troublemaker. Even if I know about it, I might not really do anything. Di Baiming glanced at Yun Chuzhou with a faint smile, and his meaning could not be more obvious. He Xinjiu coughed guiltily. Why are you looking at me like that? Although I do mess around sometimes, I know what PM doing. I won't mess around. Humph, you deliberately didn't tell me. You want to see me as a joke. Di Baiming smiled bitterly and sighed. Firstly, PM afraid that you won't be able to control your temper. Secondly, although De Hua is your spiritual beast, it is obviously not under your control. Although the 4 ferocious beasts have their own strengths, Tao Tai is the most brutal one. Moreover, it doesn't have a bottom line like the other 3 demon beasts. When it goes crazy, it will swallow everything. Now, it has only materialized a claw. You can't subdue it. If you release its true form rashly, are you sure that you can subdue it? Although He Xinjiu was not convinced, she still had some agreement in her heart. Whether it was De Hua from before or the Red Claw now, they were both extremely unruly and difficult to tame. The reason why they were able to listen to her orders was because they each had their own needs. If she really released its true form, she really did not have any confidence in subduing it. At least what you said makes sense. Should we continue to move forward or turn back now? That dead claw has been tormenting me ever since we entered the 6 Harmonies Waterside Pavilion. If I don't do as it says, it will make me very hungry. It's really annoying. Yun Chuzhou pouted and said. Di Baiming's face immediately darkened. Release it and PLL warn it to prevent it from tormenting you again. As soon as Di Baiming finished speaking, Yun Chuzhou felt the strong desire for survival from the Red Claw. Although she couldn't speak, the begging that was transmitted to Yun Chuzhou was simply too obvious. Yun Chuzhou was angry and amused at the same time. Damn it, she didn't see it being so obedient when she was scaring it previously. Now, the gigolo only said one sentence and it was frightened to this extent. It was really like watching a person leave a dish. Prince Charming, it's not too late to deal with it after we get out. Let's go see where it wants to go first. Even if we don't release its main body, we can still do it in our hearts. Di Baiming couldn't help but sigh. You're really too indulgent with spiritual pets. Do you see how the little perv? Yun Chuzhou touched her nose and couldn't help but think of the little perverted dragon-s expression when it was told that it was going to be taken away by Di Baiming last time. It looked as pitiful as it could be. It was enough to show what kind of life it usually lived. It was said that Di Baiming often threw it into the pile of demonic beasts. If it had the ability, it would live. If it did not have the ability, it would die. However, it was because of Di Baiming's cold-blooded that the little dragon's cultivation was much higher than Xiao Hanio and the rest. It was just that He Xinjiu did not have such a ruthless heart. In this regard, she admitted that she was a little soft-hearted. No matter in her past life or present life, her greatest strength was that she was protective of her shortcomings. She could not stand to see the people or beasts she was protecting suffer or be bullied. Seeing that she did not speak, Di Baiming did not continue the topic. He said casually, since you want to go and take a look, I'll go with you. Let's go. Chapter 5875 was incomprehensible. He Xinjiu immediately grabbed Di Baiming's arm with a smile. Alright, then let's go and take a look. The two of them did not encounter a single demonic beast along the way. It could be said that they were unimpeded. I didn't expect De Hua to be so useful in the 6 Harmonies Waterside Pavilion. We definitely don't have to worry about our mission anymore. When the time comes, I'll get Xiao He to search for the yin yang lichen. I reckon that those guarding demonic beasts won't dare to make an enemy out of us. Humph. This time, not only do I want to be in the top 50, I also want to be in first place. I'll blind the snobbish eyes of Xiao Guzi. When the 100-year competition comes, I'll gladly take in 2 masters. In the future, I'll be able to do whatever I want in the 10 Directions Academy. When the time comes, I'll take back the treasures taken by the other branches and make them obediently pay the rent. Then, I'll be rich. Humph. Let's see who dares to provoke me. I will kill him. He Xinjiu said smugly. Di Baiming saw that she was so smug that she was almost standing shoulder to shoulder with the moon, so he poured cold water on her. Don't think so optimistically. It is said that the two grand elders are grumpy and have not taken in any disciples for so many years. It may not be so easy for you to become their disciple. He Xinjiu snorted, who cares if they are grumpy or not? I am now the only two students of the prehistoric academy. They have to accept me or I will kill them. Di Baiming thought of his wife's evil ways and could not help but light a candle for the two grand elders. Although the two chatted as they walked, they were not slow. In the blink of an eye, they had reached a cliff that reached into the clouds. There was no way forward. This should be the end of the Red Valley. On the other side of the cliff is Misty Lake, Di Baiming said. Yun Chujiu looked around and did not see anything unusual, so she released her red claw. After the red claw was released, it pointed at a certain lord like a manekiniko. It was very obedient. He Xinjiu was suddenly angry and said unhappily, "All right, let's get down to business. What do you want us to do here?" The red claw was about to fly into a rage, but when it saw a certain one beside Yun Chujiu, it obediently floated to the side of the cliff and stuck its entire claw to one part of the cliff. Yun Chujiu narrowed her eyes and looked. She did not know what the red claw was up to. At this moment, Yun Chujiu was surprised to see a fiery red monster appear on the cliff. Although it was just an image, it could be judged that the monster's body was extremely huge. The Six Directions Pavilion was probably not even half as big as it. Its four limbs were chained, and the chain looked like it was made of 10,000-year-old black iron. Although the red monster's body was huge, its proportions were extremely strange. Its head took up more than half of its entire body. Its head was like a cow, but also like a sheep. Its sharp teeth were like a tiger, and there was a pair of wings on its body. The claws were exactly the same as the red claws. It seemed that this was Tao Tai. You are Tao Tai. Although Yun Chujiu did not know if the image could transmit sound, she still asked the question in her heart. Yes, it is me. You are really lucky to have my soul protection. Quickly let me out, I will not mistreat you. Tao Tai's huge mouth opened and closed, and said with a bossy tone. Yun Chujiu curled her lips. Speaking in human language, I don't understand what you're saying. Tao Tai. Chapter 5876, Don't save me, let me out quickly, I won't mistreat you. Do you understand now? Tao Tai said impatiently. Yun Chujiu hugged her shoulders and shook the tip of her toes. She curled her lips again. Why? Tao Tai became even more impatient. Do you even need to ask? I'm so smart and divine. With my help, you can do whatever you want. Isn't that enough? TSK, you're really shameless. Since you're so capable, why are you locked up? Since you're so capable, come out yourself. Tao Tai almost fainted from anger. This wretched girl was as hateful as her previous life. If it wasn't for a coincidence, it would have eaten her. Although Tao Tai was ruthless, after being locked up for so many years, it finally learned its lesson. It let out a sigh of relief. I was joking just now. Look, we are already so familiar with each other. You even gave me the name De Hua. This is a good name. Please let me out. Tao Tai even felt that these words were a little fake. De Hua. Oh God. Oh God. He was a majestic ferocious beast, but he was given such a name. Where was the justice in this? However, when it thought of Butt Face, it immediately felt a lot better. At least its name was more refreshing, unlike Butt Face, who was so old-fashioned. Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes. It's useless to be familiar with it. If I save you, it'll definitely cause a lot of trouble. I can't protect myself now, and am not in the mood to save you. Tao Tai was not a patient person. Hearing Yun Chujiu's words, its face immediately turned ferocious. You'll be saved today, and you'll be saved even if you don't. Otherwise, I'll slap you to death with my claws. A certain deity, who had been silent all this while, said plainly, who are you going to slap to death? Tao Tai's entire attention was on He Xinjiu. It was not until then that he saw Di Biming beside him and immediately changed his words. I will slap myself to death with my claws. He Xinjiu. Tao Tai's huge eyeballs rolled around, and he actually managed to squeeze out a few tears. Please, save me. After all, you have the 3 Cheong Chi with you. You don't need me anymore, do you? As long as you save me, I will agree to any conditions. Yun Chujiu sneered in her heart. She finally realized that among the 4 great beasts, Hun Dun was the dumbest. Tao Wu was not a scheming person. Although Buttface was a little scheming, he was not a scheming person. However, this Tao Tai was different. Not only was it ferocious, but it was also very scheming. No wonder the pretty boy did not want her to save it. Seeing that Yun Chujiu did not speak, Tao Tai begged again, although I followed you in a split-soul state, I have helped you a lot. Even if you don't have any merits, you still have to work hard. And you are so protective of your shortcomings. You defin. Yun Chujiu curled the corners of her lips. I can bear to. Tao Tai did not give up and continued to persuade, I am one of the 4 great fierce beasts. My ability is much stronger than Buttface and the others. Don't you want to kill everyone with my help? Yun Chujiu, no. Tao Tai was so angry that it was dumbfounded. In the past, this stupid girl always tried to trick other idiots. But this time, it took the initiative to let her do it. Why didn't she do it? It was really detestable. Yun Chujiu yawned. Alright, it's already the middle of the night. I am also sleepy. Go do what you should do. I have to find a place to sleep. Chapter 5877, Tao Tai's tragic past. Tao Tai saw that Yun Chujiu was really going to turn around and leave. He couldn't take it anymore and roared, stop right there. You have to save me today because you owe me. Yun Chujiu raised her eyebrows, I owe you. How funny, how do I owe you? Tao Tai seemed to be having an intense battle of thoughts. In the end, when he saw that Yun Chujiu was still going to leave, he roared with grief and indignation, if it wasn't for you, would I have been a lonely beast? If it wasn't for the you from my previous life, would I have been locked up in this damned place? You vicious woman. I've had 8 lifetimes of bad luck when I met you. Not only did you make my wife disappear, but you also caused me to be locked up at the bottom of this dark and sunless lake. The most depressing thing was that my split soul had even become your spiritual beast. I, Tao Tai, am an ancient ferocious beast. I have committed all kinds of evil and have no conscience. I was actually harmed by you so miserably. You are simply not human. You are more ferocious than a ferocious beast. You are a devil. You are a pervert. Yun Chujiu selectively filtered out the series of compliments that Tao Tai said after that. She asked with interest, hey, Tao Tai, tell me, how did I do it? In my previous life, I was actually so smart and so smart. I was even a little proud. Tao Tai almost fainted from anger. This stupid girl was indeed so infuriating. Tao Tai originally did not want to say such a shameful thing, but now in order to get out of trouble, it could only say it shamelessly. In my previous life, I accidentally offended you, but my skin was rough and my flesh was thick. You didn't do anything to me. Later, I spread the news that I wanted to find a female to marry. Many female beasts had a good impression of me. On the day that I chose a concubine, many female beasts flocked to me. I still remember the grand occasion that day. Many beautiful female beasts threw flirtatious glances at me, all wanting to gain my favor. When Tao Tai said this, a nostalgic expression appeared on his face. However, in the blink of an eye, his expression turned ferocious as he continued, "You also came that day. You said that enemies should be resolved rather than tied. You even gave me a congratulatory gift and asked me to open it on the spot. How would I know that you were trying to harm me? When I saw your mysterious appearance, I was also a little curious. When I opened it, it turned out to be a costume." Yun Chujo touched her chin. Why would she give Tao Tai a costume in her previous life? Let it sing. Speaking of, I was a little tempted at that time. You urged me to eat the costume on the spot. I didn't think too much and ate the costume. Who would have thought that at that time, you didn't know what kind of formation you used, but what those females saw was, actually, I swallowed a female demon beast. I didn't know anything about this. I just finished eating that costume, and you asked me, "Tao Tai, is my wife delicious? Do you still want to eat?" I thought you were asking about the costume, so I loudly said, "It's very delicious, eat as much as you can in the future." When the females heard what I said, they immediately scattered in all directions, not listening to my explanation at all. From then on, within a radius of 1,000 li, not a single female existed. The most infuriating thing was that even some of the females of the Zerg race had fled far away. Damn it, even if I'm not good enough, I still have to consider the reproductive isolation. Can I still marry a bug? Chapter 5878 Deserved It, cough cough. Cough cough. Hei Shinjo almost choked to death on her own saliva when she heard Tao Tai's bloody and tearful accusation. She was really naughty in her previous life. She could even think of such an excellent, wicked, method. Di Baiming's usually indifferent face showed a rare look of astonishment. This idiot Tao Tai was really a little miserable. Tao Tai probably held it in for too long as it roared with grief and indignation. From then on, I completely lost the hope of marrying a wife because no female dared to approach me. They all said that I married a wife just to eat her. No matter how I explained it, it was useless. To think that I, an ancient fierce beast, actually became a bachelor. I simply have no face to see a beast. This is all your fault. You're simply too wicked. Doesn't your conscience hurt? Although Yun Chujo felt a little guilty, she sneered on the surface, 1 to 1 mile per hour. Don't make yourself sound so innocent. You've said it yourself, you've offended me before. If you didn't offend me, would I have had the time to tease you? Besides, you're so fat, that costume must have cost a lot of money, especially the dark spirit stones on it. It's already good enough that I didn't ask you to pay for it. Also, in the end, your reputation is bad. You eat everything. That's why those female beasts believed my little trick. You're the one who's a foodie. Tao Tai was so angry that she was about to faint. Fine, fine. Even if it has nothing to do with you that I can't find a wife, what about the fact that PM locked up here because of you? Tao Tai said through gritted teeth. Hei Shinjo blinked her eyes and said, "What does it have to do with me that you are locked up here? How did I do it? Am I actually so outstanding?" Tao Tai rolled his eyes in anger. He comforted himself that he had endured for so many years. He could not afford to lose the big because of the small. Bear with it. You lied to me so miserably back then. Naturally, I would not let it go. So, I went to settle the score with you and prepared to eat you. Unfortunately, I was plotted against by you again. Not only did I not eat you, but I was also seriously injured by you. If I wasn't seriously injured, how could those lowly humans trap me? So this is all your fault. You are simply not a human. You are a pervert. You are a devil. Yun Chujo filtered out the words that Tao Tai praised her and curled the corners of her lips. You are about to eat me. What's wrong with me scheming against you? It's already good enough to keep you alive. You still have the face to shout at me? You've grown such a big head in vain, so you're actually a fool. Tao Tai. Yun Chujo looked at Tao Tai, who was about to be angered to death, and asked curiously, "Oh right, how did your split soul beck? Could it be that you know you're wrong and use it to atone for your sins?" "Pooey. I'm not guilty. This is just an accident. Our Tao Tai clan has a secret technique that can use a split soul to devour the spiritual consciousness of an external object. I originally wanted to devour your soul consciousness and make you a puppet so that I could vent my anger. But I didn't expect." At this point, Tao Tai shed 2 lines of tears in grief and indignation. "I didn't expect that you, a pervert, would actually contract my split soul. Poor me, an ancient fierce beast. I actually failed to steal the chicken and ate the rice. Is there any beast in this world that is more miserable than me?" Yun Chujio looked at it deeply. "This isn't called miserable, it's called asking for it. If you didn't provoke me, I wouldn't have had the time to deal with you. This is entirely your own fault. I'll give you 2 words you deserve it. Tao Tai." Chapter 58-79, Master, don't go. Tao Tai's huge body trembled with anger, but in the end, it still said sullenly, all right, even if I brought all this on myself, my split soul has also helped you a lot. Shouldn't you save me?" Yun Chujio glanced at it. "Helped me a lot. Do you know how many spirit stones your split soul has eaten from me and how many dark spirit stones it has eaten from me? If I didn't raise a scammer like you, would I be so greedy for money?" Tao Tai cursed in its heart. "You were originally a paishio. You were greedy for money to begin with. Why are you still blaming it? Shameless." However, it now had a favor to ask of someone. It could only say pitifully, this is all the initial investment. As long as you let me out, I'll help you snatch more. PLL definitely make you a fortune." Yun Chuji's black eyes rolled around, and she glanced at Tao Tai's body again, asking, "You have been locked up for so many years, how much ability do you have left? Are you a good-for-nothing?" It was not that this guy was suspicious, but she had taken in too many scammers. It was a bloody lesson. Tao Tai's big eyes immediately flashed with a faint light, and he said arrogantly, "It's really funny. I am an ancient fierce beast, what can this formation do to me? You have also seen how afraid those demonic beasts are of me. If I don't have any ability now, why would they be afraid of me?" Yes. Yun Chujio thought about it and it made sense. The demonic beasts on the 6 Harmonies Waterside Pavilion were so afraid of it, so it should still have some use. Not to mention other things, when the Red Claw was raging, it pushed Jian Chenmu to the ground with one move. Indeed, it looked quite powerful. If the split soul was so powerful, the host soul and body would definitely not be too weak. After making up her mind, Yun Chujio looked at Tao Tai again. "I'm only contracted with your split soul now. If I let you out, what if you turn hostile and refuse to acknowledge me?" Tao Tai's face was bright and aboveboard. "What are you talking about? Would an ancient beast like me, Tao Tai, do such a treacherous thing?" "You will." "Tao Tai, then how can you save me?" "As long as you state your conditions, I will satisfy you." Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. "You have to establish a contract with me first, and then I will save you. It's not that I don't agree with you, but PM at the bottom of the lake. How can I establish a contract with you? You have to think of a way to come to the bottom of the lake first, and then we can establish a contract. It's not too late. Don't worry, my split soul is already your beast, and it doesn't need me as its main soul. So I definitely won't lie to you." Tao Tai said sincerely. Do you think I..." This stupid girl was really hard to deal with, but to make it acknowledge a thief as its father, no, abandoning the dark to the light, was also wrong. In short, how could it acknowledge an enemy as its master? This was simply a great humiliation. Just as Tao Tai was struggling in its heart, Yun Chujio yawned, "Prince Charming, let's find a place to sleep. It doesn't matter whether this idiot wants it or not." Anyway, I already have butt face and the others. One more won't make a difference. One less won't make a difference. Let's just let it be locked up at the bottom of the lake. After saying that, Yun Chujo grabbed Di Baiming's arm and turned around to leave without any hesitation. Tao Tai panicked immediately. It had been locked up in the dark for so many years. If it did not seize this opportunity, it might not be able to get out in the future. Master! My dear master! Don't go! Chapter 5880, What's the point of having you? Tao Tai comforted himself. He was in a rush for power. For the sake of freedom, he would first throw away his face. No matter what, he had to first obtain freedom, then find an opportunity to take revenge. The hatred of snatching his wife was irreconcilable. Humph. Yun Chujo heard Tao Tai's shout and stopped in her tracks. She turned around to look at Tao Tai and said with a faint smile, "Didn't you say that you are locked at the bottom of the lake and have no way to establish a contract with me?" Tao Tai cursed in his heart a few hundred times for being shameless, perverted, and evil. Only then did he say, "I suddenly thought of an idea. Although my main body is locked at the bottom of the lake, I can use my split soul as a medium to establish a contract. However, I must say that we can only establish an equal contract. Otherwise, I won't give in even if I sit at the bottom of the lake." Yun Chujo nodded and agreed, "Okay, then we will establish an equal contract." Immediately, Tao Tai established an equal contract with Yun Chujo through the red claws. The moment the contract was established, huge waves rose up in the misty lake. However, it was only for a moment before it regained its calm, so it did not attract anyone's attention. Tao Tai hurriedly said, "Master, quick, come and save me." Yun Chujo blinked her eyes and asked, "How can I save you?" "The core of the formation is under this stone wall. If you destroy the core, I will be able to regain my freedom," Tao Tai said excitedly. Yun Chujo looked at Tao Tai meaningfully and said, "If I let you out, it will definitely cause a great commotion. At that time, I will also stay in the 10 Directions Academy. So, you stay at the bottom of the lake for a period of time. When I am about to leave the 10 Directions Academy, I will come and save you." "Tao Tai, don't play with it like that. Don't lie to the beast like that." Tao Tai was so angry. This was playing with it. It was once again fooled by her. "You can't do this. Aren't you afraid of retribution? You are heartless. You are not human, you bastard." Tao Tai was so angry that it didn't know how to scold. It was so angry that it almost fainted. Yun Chujo touched her nose. "De Hua, why are you so impatient? It's not that I don't want to save you, I just want you to stay at the bottom of the lake for a few more days. Do you have to be so angry? As for that, I don't want to stay in this damn place for one more day. Sob, sob, I beg you, please save me. As long as you save me, I'm willing to do whatever you want me to do," Tao Tai said sobbingly. It had already acknowledged the thief as its master. If it still couldn't obtain freedom, wouldn't it cry to death? Yun Chujo didn't delibor. She was fine with it, but if she implicated the gigolo and couldn't get the qualification to compete in the 100-year grand competition, wouldn't it be a loss? Tao Tai begged for a long time, but when it saw that Yun Chujo still wouldn't let go, it could only gnash its teeth and say, forget it, forget it. Anyway, my body is almost decayed. If you don't want it, then I don't want it. You can get my host soul out, right?" Yun Chujo suddenly had an ominous premonition in her heart. "What did you say? What do you mean your body is almost decayed?" Tao Tai said with a guilty conscience, "Ah, yes, yes. Otherwise, why do you think these demonic beasts would be contaminated by my brutal aura? It's because the array has dissolved my body, and the brutal aura was absorbed by them. You humans are really vicious." Yun Chujo gritted her teeth. "You already have no body, so what use do I have for you?" Chapter 5881 fell into the pit again. Tao Tai was immediately unhappy when it heard Yun Chujia's words. What are you talking about? The noblest thing is not the body but the soul. How can such a noblest beast soul like mine be useless? If even my split soul is so powerful, my host soul is naturally even more powerful. Yun Chujio was skeptical of its words. However, since they had already established a contract, she could not ignore it even if it was a scam. Thus, she said unhappily, then, how can I save your host soul? That's easy. We've established the contract now. My host soul has a connection with your soul consciousness. You only need to smear your blood on the stone wall. It'll teach you a secret technique of the Tao Tai clan. Then, my host soul and my split soul will become one. That way, it'll be able to get out of here indirectly, said Tao Tai excitedly. Hei Shinjiu resolutely refused, smear my blood on the stone wall. How much blood does that need? I won't do it. Tao Tai roared, you've made me so miserable. Why can't I ask you for some blood? Besides, it doesn't need much. I just need to smear the small piece of my claw on the wall with fresh blood. Yun Chujio reluctantly said, all right, then I'll show my kindness. Actually, I really don't want a foodie like you. Not only do you have no ability, but you're also very good at eating. What's the point of having you? Tao Tai. It was not easy for Tao Tai to hold back the anger in his heart. He comforted himself. It was not too late for Tao Tai to take revenge. Let's wait and see. Yun Chujio followed Tao Tai's method and smeared the blood on the spot where the red claw was pressed. Then, she used the secret technique that Tao Tai taught her. A moment later, Tao Tai's host soul floated out of the stone wall and merged into the red claw. The red claw immediately changed into Tao Tai's appearance, but only one of the red claws was solid. Tao Tai moved his limbs and said with some disdain, I'm not criticizing you, but you're too useless. It took you so long to materialize one of my claws. Work harder in the future and quickly let me materialize, do you hear me? Yun Chujio looked at him coldly and didn't say anything. Tao Tai continued, although PM temporarily wronged to be your spiritual beast, we have an equal contract, so we have an equal relationship. If you want to order me to do things in the future, you must give me enough spirit stones and dark spirit stones. Otherwise, I don't have time to help you. Tao Tai saw that Yun Chujio didn't say anything and thought that she had acquiesced, so it became more and more smug. I'm different from those three idiots. I'm nobler than them and smarter than them. Don't even think about using the same trick to deal with me. You can't compare to your previous life. Let me tell you, there's nothing in this world that I can't eat. As long as I want to, I can swallow this stupid academy into my stomach. Just as Tao Tai was showing off, a sharp pain came from his spiritual sense. He immediately cried out in pain. The only real claw was twitching in pain. It was as miserable as it could be. Seeing Tao Tai's miserable state, Yun Chujio could not help but feel happy. It seemed that the contract with the host soul was indeed different. Previously, she had no way to control that dead claw. Now, she could take care of De Hua just like how she took care of Buttface and the others. Tao Tai, who was in so much pain, finally realized that she had fallen into a pit again. And it was a pit that she had dug for herself. Chapter 5882, De Hua, come, tell me, who is the noblest, who is the smartest, and who is the most powerful? Yun Chujio asked with a smile. Tao Tai grimaced in pain and said unwillingly, it's you, it's all you. I'll let you work for me in the future, do I still need to look at your face? No need. It's only right and proper for me to work for my master, Tao Tai said with a sobbing voice. It was really too damn depressed. It regretted it. If it had known earlier, it would have been better to be locked up at the bottom of the lake. At least no one could bully it. No, it could not give up just like that. It would definitely find a way to take revenge, definitely. Di Biming watched the whole process from the side and did not participate in it. It was only now that he said, "Little Jiu, its appearance is too eye-catching. If you let it out, it will bring you trouble." Tao Tai felt Di Biming's indifferent gaze and immediately showed a strong desire to survive. Master, don't worry. Since I'm a spiritual beast, I can change according to your wishes. Just like how you imagined your spiritual beast to be a pig, I later became a pig, but..." Before Tao Tai could finish its sentence, its appearance became a cute red piglet. Yun Chujiu clapped her hands in surprise. It's really like that. Now, you can turn into a tiger for me to see. Why don't you change? You can change. Tao Tai looked at her with tears in its eyes and said with difficulty, "But, I can only change once. Unless I turn into a real tiger, or else, I can only turn into this wretched appearance." Yun Chujiu. This fellow angrily beat Tao Tai. "You dumbass. Are you not going to finish your sentence? You must be doing this on purpose, you pig. I'll beat you to the miserable." Tao Tai was beaten to the point that it dissipated instantly. It felt bitter in its heart. Was this because of it? She was clearly too impatient. Moreover, the final victim was it, all right? She had thought that she had escaped the fate of being a pig in this life, but who would have thought that she had become a pig again? Who had she offended? Her life was too miserable. Hei Xinjiu was not satisfied. She released De Hua again and gave it another good scolding and a good beating. While beating it up, the fellow suddenly remembered something. "By the way, why did you disappear during that period of time?" De Hua's eyes flashed, and he said in a wrong tone, "Don't you have that Goeibatsao?" So I rested for a period of time." Yun Chujiu asked suspiciously, "Is that so? If I find out that you are lying to me, hmph." De Hua shrunk his neck and did not say a word. "Oh right, what skills do you have now?" Yun Chujiu continued to ask. De Hua The poor piglet was sent flying hundreds of feet away and almost disappeared. De Hua was so angry. However, she still walked over with her 4 short legs. "I'm saying that I can eat other spiritual beasts, and I can temporarily maintain my physical body to fight. The power will increase by several times. Temporarily maintain my physical body?" In order to verify her words, De Hua's entire body immediately turned into a physical body. She was just like a piglet, but it was red. In order to show her ferocity, this fellow even bared his teeth at Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu looked at the fierce piglet and felt extremely stifled. Why did she think of the piglet first just now? Even if it is a big pig is also good. Chapter 5883 Loitering Pig. De Hua did not know what Hei Xinjiu was thinking. She said proudly, "Not only will my physical form greatly increase my power, but I can also speed up my cultivation speed. In the future, you should let me out for a walk more often." Yun Chujiu felt that these words were somehow familiar. That damned grass often requested to be out for a walk too. These two were restless. The other people raised spiritual beasts, while she raised loitering pigs. Yun Chujiu thought of another question. "My morning sickness must have something to do with you, right?" De Hua touched its nose guiltily with its small claws. "You also know that I'm used to eating and sleeping when I'm full. When PM full, PLL eat. If I don't sleep enough, I'll naturally be in a bad mood." Yun Chujiu felt very stifled and sent it flying with a kick. De Hua let out a choking sound as it fell. Its 4 short legs kicked for a long time before it finally got up. Yun Chujiu felt even more stifled. What kind of combat ability could it have with its stupid appearance? De Hua got up and widened its small eyes. It said pitifully, "Well, master, I'm hungry. Do you have anything to eat?" Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu gritted her teeth and threw a pile of spirit stones to De Hua. De Hua opened its mouth and the pile of spirit stones instantly entered its stomach. Yun Chujio only felt that in the blink of an eye, the pile of spirit stones had disappeared. De Hua said pitifully again, "Master, I'm hungry." He Xinjiu resisted the urge to slap it to death and threw another pile of spirit stones to it, but it swallowed them in one gulp. "Master, I'm still hungry." De Hua thought secretly. Although it could not avenge its wife for the time being, at least it could eat her poor, humph. It was so smart. Seeing that De Hua had eaten so many spiritual stones in such a short time, Yun Chujio couldn't bear it anymore. "I'm hungry, you should also bear with." De Hua shook its short tail aggrievedly. "Master, even if you don't give me spiritual stones, you can at least give me some food. It's not my fault. I've been locked up for so many years, I'm really hungry." To be honest, although Tao Tai didn't look very likable before, it was now a small one, wagging its short tail. It was exceptionally soft and cute, and Yun Chujio couldn't bear it anymore. Moreover, it didn't want spirit stones, just some food. It wasn't too much. However, He Xinjiu soon realized how naive her thoughts were. How was it just some food? In just 15 minutes, De Hua had eaten 100 bags of spiritual wheat, 200 bags of spiritual rice, 300 spiritual cabbages, 500 red-crowned eggs, and 10 large basins of steamed buns. He Xinjiu saw that her stock was decreasing at a speed visible to the naked eye, so she wickedly threw a sack of chili noodles to De Hua. Cough cough. Cough cough. "It's so spicy." De Hua choked and coughed repeatedly, her small body shaking like leaves in the wind. He Xinjiu felt very relieved. She was about to say something when she heard De Hua continue, "Master, you are so considerate. I was just having a bland meal, and you brought me seasoning." The spicy food was so satisfying. He Xinjiu was so angry that she rolled her eyes. She hugged Di Baiming's waist and sobbed, "Idol, it's over. I'm going to raise a bottomless pit in the future. I'm going to be a pauper soon." Di Baiming's heart ached as he stroked her hair. His cold gaze looked at De Hua, who was snot, tears, and frantically eating. De Hua immediately trembled and stammered, I'm full. I'm not hungry anymore. I can stop eating for 3 days. Master, don't worry. I'm very easy to raise. If it's not enough, I can even lick my own paws for 2 days. Chapter 5884, Coming out of the valley. De Hua showed a strong desire to survive. After stuttering, she slapped herself with her paw and dissipated. He Xinjiu was angry, amused, and a little jealous. At this moment, a strong drowsiness came over her. She yawned and said, "This De Hua is really a pig. She wants to sleep after eating." Di Baiming wanted to say something, but he saw that Yun Chujio had already fallen asleep in his arms. Di Baiming chuckled and sat on the ground to make Yun Chujio's sleeping position more comfortable. He even took out a blanket and covered her. When Yun Chujio woke up the next day, she found that she was lying on Di Baiming's lap while Di Baiming maintained his meditation position. It was obvious that he had not slept the whole night. She rubbed her eyes and said, "You haven't slept this whole time. Are you stupid? You can let the little perverted dragon be in charge of guarding. Let's sleep together." Di Baiming moved his slightly stiff body and said with a faint smile, "Meditation can also relieve fatigue. There's no problem." What Di Baiming did not say was that the two of them spent less time together and more time apart. Even looking at her sleeping face was an extravagant hope. He could not bear to sleep. After breakfast, the two of them didn't delay their journey to the entrance of the valley. After all, they still had to look for the Yinyang lichen. When they arrived at the entrance of the valley, Ding Wenru, Nangong Shi, Jiang Hong, and Yin Zhang came forward to welcome them. Although Ding Wenru and Nangong Shi had sustained serious injuries previously, they were only superficial injuries. By now, they had almost fully recovered. Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang wanted to leave midway, but if Yan Qingqing didn't die and they left just like that, wouldn't they be in trouble? Thus, they stayed until now. The two of them looked at Hei Shinjo, who was still alive and kicking. They couldn't help but feel lucky that she didn't leave. Otherwise, this little devil would definitely settle the score later. Yun Chujo looked at the two of them with satisfaction and sent them away. After all, she had too many secrets on her. The fewer people who knew, the better. After Jiang Hong and Yin Zhang left, Yun Chujo summoned Xiao Hei. She asked Di Baiming for a stalk of Yin-Yang lichen and let Xiao Hei sniff it. Xiao Hei nodded its little head and began to search ahead. Nan Gongshi and Ding Wenru looked surprised, but they tactfully did not ask. Hei Shinjo approached Ding Wenru and asked with a smile, "Sister Ding, what are you doing?" "Sister Ding, now you can tell me why you and Nan Gongshi went to the Red Valley, right? You didn't go there to have a tryst, did you?" Ding Wenru's face immediately turned red. "Bah! What nonsense are you talking about? We just happened to bump into each other. Coincidence? That's quite a coincidence. Ordinary people wouldn't go into the Red Valley," Hei Shinjo teased. Ding Wenru's expression became more and more unnatural, but she still told her what happened. In fact, the matter wasn't too complicated. Previously, because of Nan Gongshi's careless words, Ding Wenru hadn't paid any attention to Nan Gongshi. In the end, all of this was due to her low self-esteem. After the last epiphany, although her condition was much better, she still felt a little uncomfortable. Therefore, even though she later found out that Nan Gongshi had been looking for an opportunity to explain to her, she still didn't pay any attention to him. During a refining class, the lecturer had unintentionally mentioned that there was a kind of bloodstone with black patterns in the Red Valley of the Six Harmonies Water Pavilion. When refining certain spirit tools, it could increase the success rate. Everyone else listened and decided to forget about it, but Ding Wenru remembered it in her heart. She was anxious to prove herself, so as soon as she was teleported to the Six Harmonies Water Pavilion, she headed towards the direction of the Red Valley. Anyway, with the escape jade token, there wouldn't be any danger. Chapter 5885, Gathering Yin-Yang Lichens. Ding Wenru was on her way to the Red Valley when she coincidentally bumped into Nan Gongshi. At first, Ding Wenru didn't tell him that she was going to the Red Valley, but Nan Gongshi followed her at a distance. When he saw that she was going to enter the Red Valley, he naturally tried to dissuade her. Ding Wenru was competing with him, so how could she listen? She still insisted on entering the Red Valley. Nan Gongshi was worried about her safety, so he followed her into the Red Valley. At first, there wasn't any danger, but later on, they encountered a few demonic beasts. Unfortunately, they discovered that the escape jade token wasn't useful, so they heard Ding Wenru's cry for help. Although Ding Wenru was picky when she said it, Hei Shinjo quickly imagined the whole process and laughed even more mischievously. Ding Wenru and Nan Gongshi were still in the hazy state of the moon and birds. They hadn't broken through the window yet, so their faces were both red. Fortunately, Xiao Hei had discovered something and diverted their attention. The four of them looked in the direction that Xiao Hei was pointing at. It was a low bush. If it weren't for Xiao Hei leading the way, they wouldn't have thought that there was a yin-yang lichen under the bush. Hei Shinjo was about to go forward and dig when Ding Wenru quickly stopped her. "Qingcheng, wait. There will definitely be guarding demonic beasts near the yin-yang lichen. Don't act rashly." Yun Chujo waved her hand nonchalantly. Don't worry. Those demonic beasts belong to my family. They won't attack me, their master. They have already run away." Ding Wenru and Nan Gongshi were dumbfounded. Did Yan Qingcheng have a problem with her brain? Why was she spouting nonsense? The demonic beasts in the Six Harmonies Waterside Pavilion belonged to her family? She was their master. What kind of joke was this? Even President Gu didn't dare to say that. These demonic beasts weren't spirit beasts. Each and every one of them was unruly and savage. Who dared to say that they were their master? Ding Wenru wanted to stop Yun Chuzhou, but she saw that Di Baiming didn't have the slightest trace of worry on his face, so she stopped in her tracks. He Xinjiu ran into the bushes and used her pickaxe to dig a few times. She waved at Ding Wenru and the other two, "Don't just stand there. Hurry up and help me dig." Ding Wenru and Nan Gongshi looked at each other. There really wasn't any demonic beast guarding them. Although the yin-yang lichen grew below the surface, it was not too far from the surface. The four of them quickly dug out a yin-yang lichen. He Xinjiu took the yin-yang lichen and looked at it. It was half black and half white. It was quite interesting. The strange grass in her dantian kept acting cute. If it were not for Di Baiming, Xiao He would have wanted to eat the yin-yang lichen when he smelled it. He Xinjiu yelled with her spiritual sense, "Eat, eat, eat. All you know is to eat. All of you are making me worry. I want to use the yin-yang lichen to hand in my mission." Forget it. The leaves of the Guai Chao immediately drooped down. This stupid girl was really biased. She had fed the pig so much yesterday. Why was it reluctant to give it up? To think that it had risked its life for her. It was really heartless. He Xinjiu felt that the Guai Chao was feeling wronged. She gritted her teeth and said, "If I find enough, I'll leave a few for you to eat." When the Guai Chao heard this, it immediately acted cutely. It was just short of wagging its long tail. In the next 2 days, Yun Chuzhou and the other two were extremely smooth. Xiao He was able to find the yin-yang lichen every time and did not miss a single time. What surprised Nan Gongshi and Ding Wenru the most was that they had not encountered a single guardian beast. Chapter 58-86 Eating poor you sometimes, they would discover the demon beasts' nests around the yin-yang lichen. They even touched the dry grass inside, which was still warm. This meant that there were still demon beasts guarding here not long ago, but they had never encountered them. Meant that there were still demon beasts guarding here not long ago, but they had never encountered them. Was it because of their heaven-defying luck, or was it really like what Yan Qingqing said, that the demon beasts in the Six Harmonies waterside pavilion were all from her family? Ding Wenru and Nan Gongshi were puzzled, but they tactfully did not ask any more questions. He Xinjiu had found a lot of yin-yang lichens, so her resentment towards De Hua had lessened a lot. After all, this fellow was still somewhat useful. De Hua was obviously the kind of person who would take advantage of others. Sensing that Yun Chuzhou was in a good mood, he immediately pleaded, "Master, PM's so hungry. Please feed me." Yun Chuzhou hesitated for a moment before releasing De Hua. After all, she and Ding Wenru had been together day and night, so there were some secrets that could not be hidden. As for Nan Gongshi, he was not a talkative person. Moreover, he had the relationship with Ding Wenru, so he would not go out and say anything. When Ding Wenru saw the cute De Hua, her eyes almost popped out. This was King Cheng's claw. Ding Wenru felt a huge shock in her heart. King Cheng's spirit beast was actually a pig? And it was a piglet. That red claw looked quite fierce before. How did it turn into a pig's trotter? Nan Gongshi was also dumbfounded. This was the first time he saw a human spirit beast being a piglet. Could this thing have any combat strength? When he saw the red piglet instantly swallow a pile of spirit stones, he felt that it was most likely an illusion. He heard that no spirit beast could directly swallow spirit stones. After De Hua swallowed a pile of spirit stones, it pitifully said with spiritual sense, "Master, I'm still hungry." He Xinjiu couldn't bear to part with spirit stones, so she took out a pile of food and gave it to it. However, this time, it was only the corpses of demonic beasts. Even so, He Xinjiu still felt her heart ache. De Hua looked at He Xinjiu's pained expression and felt extremely relieved. She deserved it. She deserved it. Her heart ached for you to death. You made me lose my wife, you made me sit at the bottom of the lake, you made me lose my body, and I ate you until you were poor. You ate until you were bankrupt. Ding Wenru and Nan Gongshi were petrified. They could no longer express their shock in words. De Hua had eaten more than 10 demon beasts' corpses. When she... Ding Wenru looked at He Xinjiu, who was gnashing her teeth, and asked, Qingcheng, is this the red claw from before? Yun Chujiu nodded. That's right, it's that dumbass who only knows how to eat. Ding Wenru's stomach was full of questions, but in the end, it turned into a sentence. Since it can eat so much, it must be very powerful, right? Yun Chujiu only felt that thousands of arrows pierced through her heart. She clenched her back teeth and squeezed out a sentence. Powerful my ass. It's just a good for nothing. Ding Wenru tactfully did not ask any more, because no matter who raised such a scammer, their mood would not be good. At this moment, a group of people walked over from afar. Their leaders were Jian Zhuyu and Xiao Yanxiao. Jian Zhuyu looked at Yun Chujiu and Ding Wenru beside her and felt very disappointed. They actually did not die. When she saw Di Baiming and Nan Gongshi beside her, her mood became even worse. Originally, she wanted to use this trial to kill that bitch Yan Qingcheng, but now that Beiyu and Nan Gongshi were together with her, it was not easy to kill them. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.